medical students, prospective medical students looking to become doctors, what sort of advice would you give them in the way that they can make the best of the opportunities they have to prepare for the future?
Okay. I think just saying yes to everything. It's certainly in the first instance that there's no harm in seeing where opportunities go, however obscure it might be, and I think not making it all about medicine. I think everybody, medical schools seem to be, and not just medical schools, once you then go through into specialty and all that stuff later on, but people are looking for somebody who has done other things and has life and interests outside of medicine, because as much as it is about your clinical and your academic ability, it's about, I guess, you as a person, and you gain so many other skills from doing things outside of medicine. There's so many transferable skills that you can have. I've done a lot of sport since school, and I think in my interviews I did draw on my experience of teamwork and communication skills in stressful environments. It's all transferable, but it's just showing that you have real world skills as well. So I think just saying yes to anything. It doesn't have to be things that strengthen your medical school CV. And I breathe. One touch feels skinny.
Oh, hi Charlie, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good to have you here today.
It's nice to see you.
First question is, can you just introduce yourself and let people know who you are?
Yeah, so my name's Charlie. I'm currently a CT1 doctor in ACCS for anaesthetics. So I'm on my first year of core training for that, based in Sunderland at the moment, but so I will be based kind of across the whole northeast across the next 3 more years. I did my degree in Manchester and did my foundation 2 years in Bolton in Greater Manchester, but have now settled up here.
That's nice. I have lots of questions from that already. So why the Northeast? Was it family that brought you down to the Northeast?
So I have got some family ties up here. My mum was born in Sunderland, but I've got a lot of family there, but they're not there. My mum and her family aren't there anymore. They're down in the southeast. I applied for training, and at the same time, my partner is a pharmacist, is gone back to do medicine. So she got an offer from Manchester, but also from Newcastle. And I didn't get a job in the northwest to stay in Manchester. I only got a job up in the northeast. So between us, we made the decision to come up here. It just happens to be that I do have some family up here as well.
Okay, so it made the decision a lot more bearable. Okay, that's good. That's good. Why anesthetics? Why not say pediatrics?
Anesthetics, I think I quite like physiology and pharmacology and knowing how things work, how the body works, and being able to also provide kind of one-on-one care. Like, you're only ever looking after one patient at a time. You can make really specific plans for patients and you can see the body's physiology working in real time. You can give medications and see blood pressure change in 15-20 seconds. It combines some of the kind of practical skills that I like, even just like basic cannulas, but intubation, kind of airway kind of adjuncts and things like that. But what I quite like about it as well, and the idea of it, is that all of my teaching as I go through anaesthetics will be one-on-one teaching. Like, I will always there'll always be me and a consultant doing a list while I'm in training, maybe apart from my last year as a registrar, but you get one-on-one teaching the whole time whilst you're looking after one patient, and I quite like that.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And I remember when I was chatting to you weeks ago, it's sort of the hands-on stuff that you like, and like it's that mix of physiology and physics as well, because you guys tend to, you're like engineers at the end of the day, do physics, you do math. So I think that makes anesthetics like quite exciting. And like you said, it's what you love doing. So yes, because I never for one considered anesthetics from the one, but I think people who eventually do anesthetics, they kind of know from the very beginning, if that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, nice. And you went to medical school in Manchester. Whilst you were at medical school, what sort of challenges did you face back then, and how did you overcome them?
I think a couple of challenges, I guess the first one being the moving away, kind of early on. Manchester wasn't somewhere that I had particularly visited a lot. I didn't know anybody in the city. And it is quite a long way from where I'm from. It's 4 hours in the car, it's 3.5 hours on the train. So that, I think, initially was quite a challenge. But I think it pushed me to outside my comfort zone to kind of, go to new societies and go to new activities. And that definitely helped. And I'm still, I still see my family and it's tricky, but it's, we kind of make that work. I think later on, I think probably the biggest challenge was getting used to moving quite a lot in terms of, both moving house, but also rotating between placements. So the way that Manchester does it is you get given a base hospital for your clinical years, and then that base hospital uses some other district general hospitals. So I was based at Salford Royal, which is a large teaching hospital, but then I had to go to Bolton and to Wigan, Bury as well for placement. So but every kind of 4 to 6 weeks, so just moving constantly and trying to find your way around a new hospital and into the team just in time to move again. But I think kind of embracing that it's something I definitely got used to. Actually getting to meet lots of different people who are in different specialties and work in different ways in terms of their communication skill, how their team working skills, all of that. You can take that opportunity to learn skills from different people and take the bits that you like and put it in your own practice. And I think I've just learned to embrace it in the end, rather than kind of complaining about the fact I've got to go somewhere else and live somewhere else. Actually just saying, I'm here, I might as well embrace it and learn what I can.
That makes sense. And like, I'm sure going through those like changes where you move from place to place, I'm sure it wasn't fun at the beginning. Yeah. But like, you can look back. I'm sure it helped you when you came down to moving back to the Northeast for work and different things. And I think your challenges sort of builds you up, and it prepares you for what's next to come. Okay, that's good. And after medical school, you're now working in the NHS. What sort of challenges have you faced? Are they sort of different set of challenges, especially you working as a doctor?
I think it's then become about managing myself, but also trying to manage my social life, I guess. I think just sometimes by the nature of the job, a lot of my friends are also doctors, both from medical school and people that I've then worked with, trying to, maintain my relationship and trying to make sure that that's a priority, as well as my friendships, and trying to do work with that. So I think just moving into the working world and out of hour shifts, weekends. So I think you've got to be organised in terms of setting up plans kind of weeks in advance when you know your rota.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So that you're not trying to do anything last minute, because then I think people are tired, people are at work. So I think just being organised, and it's something I've not always been great at, but I think it's something I'm trying to get better at, is making sure I know what I'm doing over the next month. That my friends and family, my partner know what I'm doing over the next month.
Yeah.
Just so that I can try and organise that better, because I don't want to let anybody down in terms of plans that I organise and then find them at work or. So I think that's been a bit of a challenge. It's not, I guess, NHS specific, only in that the NHS requires you to work more out of hours and weekends and things like that. I think that's probably been the biggest thing for me graduating.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I find that to be very true, even for myself. So I have doctor friends, but I also have non-doctor friends. They always come up with last minute plans and different things. It's very painful saying no, because a yes to them might mean you just be putting out fires for the rest of the week. You do need proper planning for most of it, and sometimes that can be a challenge. But like you rightly mentioned, if you let everyone know ahead of time, this is what the schedule looks like, I think it can work. And I don't think you necessarily have to give up your social life. You just need a bit more planning, and it will happen. Because I think one of the common misconceptions is doctors don't have a life outside of the hospital. It can be tough to deal with, but thank you for shedding light on that. And I think you've been working in the NHS for the last few years. What sort of significant trends or advancements have you seen in the way we do medicine, especially in the UK, and in the specialty you're going into? What do you think the future will look like? It's a difficult question, but based on your experience, what are your insights?
I'm trying to think. So I think my specialty wise, in terms of anaesthetics, I've just been to a conference for anaesthetics, and they spoke a lot about what's coming up, what's just happened. I think as a specialty, there's been a big. There is, I'm sure lots of people will be aware, there's the whole debate about the scope of physician associates, but within anaesthetics there is a group of practitioners called anaesthetic associates. Who it's a similar-ish role in terms of what people would associate a physician's associate role, but they can. Their scope has not been defined in terms of what anaesthetic associates can do, and it was throwing a lot of. I think people just didn't really know how to integrate them into the department and what they should be doing and things like that. So a lot of the work and a lot of the things coming out of the college, the Royal College of Anaesthetists at the moment, is about how we do that. And I think there has been a lot of concern about competition between anaesthetic associates and trainees and the opportunities they get. But the college sent out surveys and they listened. They've been really good actually listening about what the members want, and until a definite scope has been laid out, they've said that they won't recruit anymore. So they've put a stop to it for now, and I think I'm not in the field enough yet to know what the scope is and where they fit in, but it's quite nice to know that college that I'm going into does listen to what we say and what we kind of want to do. So I think there are people in the NHS who are listening, and I think it's really easy to say that no one's listening, that the system's broken. But there are people on a local level, regional level, national level who are listening, and it's just about finding those people, getting them on board, and kind of having. I think it's really easy to say that there's a problem, but if you can see how it could maybe be fixed, if you come up with a solution, people are much more receptive to listening to what you have to say.
Yeah.
And then, so I think that's kind of my specialty point of view. The NHS, I think, is similar. I think that there seems to be a lot more power is not the right word, but a lot more I don't know what the right word is, but giving trainees the feeling that they can undertake that everybody kind of matters in their opinion. So giving trainees the opportunity to undertake quality improvement projects, implement new procedures, guidelines, whatever. People at a local level want to hear what people in the system think and how they think it could be improved. And it does seem to be that people are listening. I've noticed it even from F1 to F2 to now, that it seems to be much more, that there's much more projects going on. People are listening. Some of the barriers to some of these projects are coming down, and people seem to be getting things done. And it's really nice to see some of my peers getting recognised for some of the ideas and work that they've done.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, thank you very much. And I think the key takeaway is like they're listening, because it's painful being part of an organization that doesn't listen. It just sort of dissuades you. Like you ask the question, like, what's the point? Why am I in this? I think yes. What I like to see more of is like people from more senior leadership positions come up and talk about these issues. And like you go to conferences and you really don't know the detail of the challenges that are being faced by those specialties. So for one, I like to see the NHS get to that point where there can be more dialogue, more town hall meetings, to say, okay, these are the changes happening. Because we have our own perspective, and especially people who are physician associates or anesthetic associates, they have their own perspective. And like at the end of the day, we're all meant to work together as a team. But where there's discord, where there's disagreements, that sort of puts you in like doubt to say, okay, are they really coming after my job? What opportunities will be there for everyone as well? So I hope to see that happen more frequently, where we have these discussions and like people come and like we just hear different people's viewpoints, because at the end of the day, everyone's job is important to them, and like no one likes to feel sidelined. But thank you very much for that, Charlie. And I think it's a recurring theme that will be happening in the future, more of this discussion of PAs and who they are. What advice, like you've gone through medical school and like you're now working, you've done F1, F2, I'm suspecting you might have taken a year out and like you're now in CT1. What sort of advice would you give to people who want to become doctors, prospective medical students, regard to and how to make the best of it? Sorry, you cut out a little. Did you say kind of to make the most of their off? So with medical students, prospective medical students looking to become doctors, what sort of advice would you give them in the way that they can make the best of the opportunities they have to prepare for the future? Okay.
I think just saying yes to everything. It's certainly in the first instance that there's no harm in seeing where opportunities go, however obscure it might be, and I think not making it all about medicine. I think everybody, medical schools seem to be, and not just medical schools, once you then go through into specialty and all that stuff later on, but people are looking for somebody who has done other things and has life and interests outside of medicine. Because as much as it is about your clinical and your academic ability, it's about, I guess, you as a person, and you gain so many other skills from doing things outside of medicine. There's so many transferable skills that you can have. I've done a lot of sport since school, and I think in my interviews I did draw on my experience of teamwork and communication skills in stressful environments. It's all transferable, but it's just showing that you have real world skills as well. So I think just saying yes to anything. It doesn't have to be things that strengthen your medical school CV, because inevitably, whatever it is, it's going to give you skills and experience that is useful.
That makes sense.
Yes, just not closing any doors early.
That makes a lot of sense. And like, I think having a lot of interest outside of work sort of gives you that boost when you come back to work to say, okay, I'm here now. I have something else that I can look forward to, especially when work and life gets difficult. But yeah, thank you for that. And I'm looking back through your medical school experience, or now that you're working, any of them, were there any like moments that were like defining moments, so to speak, that sort of strengthened your resolve to say, okay, I'm going to do this particular specialty?
I think for me, I'm quite interested in a lot of in medical education as well, and we had our teaching seemed to be done by, I don't know if this is universal or what, but we had a lot of anaesthetists do our teaching, and just in the way that in their calm demeanour, in their clearly their love and interest of their specialty. Just to hear the way they talk about it, you really like your job. You love what you do. You love being able to provide good patient care, and you find it interesting. And so I went along for one of those kind of student selected placements, and everybody just loved it. They wanted me to be involved. They wanted me to do everything because they just loved it, and they wanted to share that kind of enthusiasm for it. And I think that's it. So there was no one defining moment. I think over the space of that 4 weeks, everybody, I didn't come across anybody that wasn't welcoming, enthusiastic, keen for me to be involved. Like, everybody was just great, and that seems to have been universal. Like, if I've then gone on to do placements elsewhere, work in different hospitals, everybody does just love what they do, and just seems to be really enthusiastic for it. So I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, thanks very much, Ali. And my key takeaway is like always be enthusiastic. And what you said, always be enthusiastic, because you might be the defining moment for another person as well. Thank you, because it's a tough job. Like, you have to be able to compartmentalize your stressors, like just focus on them where you are, because sometimes it's like when you go for teaching sessions, there are some places you go to, like you can tell like this person is not really interested in being here, and I think that can dissuade some people. But thank you for that. For anesthetics, are there any like misconceptions people have about the specialty? One misconception that I think people have is like you have to know a lot about physics. What do you think are the misconceptions that people have about your specialty?
I think it is that there is a lot of physiology, pharmacology, physics. There's a lot of, I guess, like basic science. It's because it really, it's not basic. I guess it can be quite complicated. But I think because you do it constantly and it is so part of your practice, I think whilst it is going to be probably a bit of a steep learning curve, I think because you do it so much and you have one-on-one teaching every day, it becomes so ingrained that it becomes second nature. So I think that's whilst I don't want it to put people off, because I think it can be a bit daunting. I think, like I mentioned in your previous question, everybody's so enthusiastic and so keen to teach, and you do it every day, day in, day out, that it is a bit of a steep learning curve, but it very quickly becomes second nature.
That makes sense.
It's just like any part of a new job, I guess. Calling families for difficult conversations, or people that find cannulas really difficult, or whatever it might be. It ends up becoming, especially in like a foundation, it ends up becoming day in, day out stuff that you get used to it, and it doesn't mean it's easy, but you can certainly have the tools to kind of deal with it. So I think, that's probably a common misconception. They have also done away with scoring systems for interviews. So
nice.
So there's no incentive. Well, there is incentive, obviously, because it gives you things to talk about interview. But I think don't be put off if you don't have lots of publications, lots of posters, research papers. You haven't been to international conferences. That's not. They don't have that point system anymore. It's purely what you have taken from what you have done and your ability to reflect on that. So I think that's another misconception about it as well.
That's amazing. When did that change happen? When did they do away with the scoring system?
It was, I think it was either my year was the first year, or the 1 year group ahead of me. I know an anaesthetic trainee who was 2 years ahead of me, and he definitely had to do it. But I think it was the year after them. So I think I was the second year where you didn't have to do it anymore.
That sounds amazing. And so it's just about who you are as a person, and your interest in the specialty.
Yeah, you have to sit the MSRA exam. But once you then get an interview, it is purely about what half of the scoring, or not half, but a large proportion of the scoring is your ability to reflect. So actually, just taking what you have from whatever experience you have and learning from it, you'll do just as well as anybody else.
Okay, that's amazing to hear. Thanks very much, Charlie. You've been doing well so far. The next question is, how do you stay motivated and continue to grow professionally and personally amidst the many demands of being an anesthetic trainee? If you can just let us know what sort of strategies that you use. I think I have an answer, an inkling to how you stay motivated, but I'll let you have the floor.
I think I'm very fortunate. I'm going to a specialty that's really has a really wide scope. We're involved in nearly every other we're involved in a lot of other specialties. So I think knowing that I will still get to do a bit of cardio and cardiothoracic. I get to do a bit of neuro and neurology. I could get involved in pediatrics if I want to. I can get involved in ENT if I want to. I think, knowing that there is so much scope for what I can do, and just, I think staying motivated in there is a place somewhere for me, and it's just about seizing the opportunities that are going to come my way to kind of find where that's going to be. I think that helps keep me going and keeps me interested, and I think that's where that comes from.
Okay, thanks for that. My guess was going to be family, having people around you to support you. But for me, that's a big motivation. But I remember you talking about planning activities with family and partners. So but yes, thank you very much.
I thought you meant work specifically.
It's all right, because it's the personal bit as well. But if you were to go back to, say, 6, 7, 8 years ago, and you were to look at a younger Charlie, what sort of advice would you give to yourself, and what would it be?
I think, similar to what I said before about just saying yes to opportunities and kind of going out there looking for those opportunities. I think you don't want to sit there and just let time and the world go by. I think going out and realizing what your interests are, whatever they may be, and looking for opportunities in there, because you will meet some amazing people, and you will strengthen friendships that you already have, and you'll get all these experiences that you never thought you would get, but that change and kind of develop who you are. So I think, going out there and just saying yes and looking for those opportunities.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And for me, that's a takeaway for me as well, like saying yes to opportunities. Because, yeah, sometimes you think like you're not capable or worthy enough for some certain opportunities, or like there's always that imposter syndrome staring you back in the face when certain opportunities present themselves. So thank you very much, Charlie. And that brings us to the end of our conversation. A bonus question: is there any question you'd like to ask me, or are there any questions you think we haven't asked you today?
I don't think so. I think just making sure. I think we touched on it, but making sure that you kind of have that outlet at home, and either whether that is just simply having a support network and talking to friends, family, going out and doing it, or whether that is having something outside of medicine, a sport that you do, a hobby you like to do, a society that you could be part of, whatever it may be. I think having someone, people, a group, an activity that gets your head outside of medicine is also key to kind of longevity in the NHS, because it's really easy to get kind of bogged down in it and forget kind of who you are, and not just become another part, but actually remembering who you are and what you enjoy, I think is important.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.